You never seen it?
No.
He gets a glass of Flint tap water, and I swear to God, he drinks it like this. Flushes.
Can I get some water? I really didn't need a glass of water. This is not a stunt.
Usually when something isn't a stunt, you have to say
It's
that.
100% a stunt. When was the last time a president stopped a speech to ask, can I get a glass of water? They would never do that. They would have water ready for him.
Does President Trump believe that President Obama should go to jail for something?
Look, the president believes that this matter needs to be thoroughly investigated, and anyone convicted of crime should be held accountable in this country. Go ahead.
He was once praised as the model of modern leadership, but Joe Rogan and Karoline Leavitt just smashed that illusion wide open. Barack Obama's picture-perfect image didn't stand a chance once they ripped off the glossy surface and revealed the hype, missteps, and made-for-TV politics. This wasn't a quiet jab, it was an all-out wrecking ball aimed at everything the press tiptoed around. When the dust settles, one thing is clear. The raw truth hits harder than any speech Obama ever gave.
Rivers said that Michelle Obama was a man before she died.
Was that a joke? I thought it was a joke.
I thought it was a joke too, but the way she said it wasn't like jokey. She was like, oh, come on, everybody knows Michelle Obama's a man. Like, remember that?
Yeah, like, would Big Mike kill you for that?
Well, I think
That President Trump never had anything to do with Russia, and the Russia collusion hoax was a massive fraud perpetuated on the American people from the very beginning. And the worst part of this is Obama knew that truth, and so did all of the other corrupt officials involved in this scam, including former CIA Director John Brennan, former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper.
Barack Obama, the guy who spent 8 years mastering how to look busy while achieving next to nothing, is once again getting hit with some cold, hard truth. This time, it's Joe Rogan and Karoline Leavitt doing the honors exposing just how hollow his polished image really is. If being president was like a UFC match, Obama would have been knocked out before round 2. But with media fanboys and a Nobel Prize he got just for showing up, he glided through 2 terms like a smooth-talking ghost.
On another matter, over the past few days, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard has unveiled shocking new evidence that former President Barack Obama and top aides in the Obama administration conspired to subvert President Trump's 2016 election victory and undermine the democratic will of the American people.
If you're liking this video, don't forget to subscribe and tap the bell icon. Joe Rogan didn't even need to dig deep. Obama's presidency plays out like a bloated Netflix doc. Overrated, forgettable, and worshipped mostly by folks who think hope means changing the font on your resume. The man who promised to be the most transparent president made duct tape look like glass. From the Fast and Furious mess to the NSA spying scandal, his yes we can quietly morphed into no, we won't explain a thing.
Biden. Give me some volume and go full screen.
What you know now, do you wish you had a third term? You know what, if I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man or front woman, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats looking through the stuff, and then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony, I'd be fine with that.
We know he wasn't really running the country. Yeah. We used to think he was actually running the country. Now they're like, no, he didn't even see those executive orders. That was all auto pen.
Karoline Leavitt, armed with her sharp Gen Z instincts, didn't need 10 years of media hype to see through the cracks. While legacy outlets were still drooling over his crisp suit and dramatic White House strolls, she was already calling out what looked more like a masterclass in staged leadership. Under Obama, America felt like an Instagram influencer, all glow and glam on the outside, but empty behind the filter.
While this case is being appealed?
We don't have any flights planned specifically, but we will continue with the mass deportations. And I would just like to point out that the judge in this case is essentially trying to say that the president doesn't have the executive authority to deport foreign terrorists from our American soil. That is an egregious abuse of the bench. This judge does not have that authority. It is the opinion of this White House and of this administration, and that's why we're fighting this in court. And it's very, very clear that this is an activist judge who is trying to usurp the president's authority. Under the Alien Enemies Act, the president has this power, and that's why this deportation campaign has continued. And this judge, Judge Boasberg, is a Democrat activist. He was appointed by Barack Obama. His wife has donated more than $10,000 to Democrats, and he has consistently shown his disdain for this president and his policies, and it's unacceptable.
Let's not act like Obama's economy was some kind of master move. He walked into office with a broken system and left it barely limping forward. He pinned every problem on George Bush, but proudly claimed credit every time a new McDonald's opened. The recovery was so slow, it felt like it needed subtitles. The only things that really took off under Obama were the national detente maybe, Joe Biden's growing list of awkward
It's fun because things are actually happening. Very different than most of the time when people get elected.
And I will shut down the federal Department of Education, and we will move everything back to the state.
Most of the time when people get elected, they claim all these things when they're running for president. Then they get into office and not much changes.
Individualize education and do it with the love for their children.
And in fact, a lot of what they campaigned on, they don't practice at all. Great example is the Obama administration. The Hope and Change website had to be changed because there was a bunch of stuff in there about whistleblowers.
I don't think Mr. Snowden was a patriot. I called for a thorough review of our surveillance operations before Mr. Snowden made these leaks. My preference would have been for a lawful, orderly examination of these laws.
Protecting whistleblowers, which they didn't do at all. It was one of the worst administrations for whistleblowers.
Rogan just said what everyone was thinking. Obama was the guy who could make disaster sound like poetry without fixing a thing. He could bomb a village, then win an award for the voiceover. His foreign policy was more like a blooper reel. Libya burned, Syria collapsed, and that famous red line, it looked more like a pink smudge on a bar napkin. And those drone strikes. Under Obama, drones were flying more missions than Delta Airlines. While he read scripted peace talks, he was basically playing real-life Call of Duty. Wedding parties vanished in explosions, and the press barely blinked. He turned race into a political talking point, quietly dividing Americans with every headline. Every crisis became a speech, every tragedy a photo op. And somehow, in 8 years, he made conflict trendy, always grinning like he'd fixed the world with a podcast playlist.
So interesting when you play people clips of Obama talking about the importance of securing the border.
I like to play those clips. They
and
sounds just like
you
Trump.
Play the statistics of how many people they sent back and telling people to not come over with their children, that they'll be separated from their children. It's one of those things where people don't like that. They don't like to see that. It really is deeply disturbing to them that Obama campaigned on this idea of protecting our border.
Because we all used to agree on it.
Yeah.
You know,
But it became a racial issue with Trump.
Under Obama, the IRS didn't just audit people, it went hunting. Tea Party groups were treated like criminals, while real threats from abroad were handled like confused tourists. Benghazi turned into a haunted house of red tape, with Hillary front and center and Obama acting like it was just a bad online review. Accountability under his watch was as missing as Joe Biden's next sentence. Joe Rogan tore that legacy apart like a surgeon with a score to settle. The Obamacare rollout was such a mess. A bunch of teens with slow internet could have done better. You can keep your doctor was tossed around like party confetti. And the website crashed harder than Hunter Biden's hard drive. Obama could have sneezed on a kitten and CNN would have called it inspiring. Reporters acted less like media and more like fans at a boy band concert, obsessed with his playlists, mesmerized by his speeches, and in awe of his jump shot. Meanwhile, real journalists got wiretapped, and whistleblowers were treated like villains from a budget superhero movie.
By partisan activists in the judicial branch have come against President Donald Trump, and 92% of those have been from Democrat-appointed judges. This is a clear, concerted effort by leftists who don't like this president and are trying to impose or slow down his agenda.
Karoline Leavitt tore apart the blind loyalty that followed him. Obama wasn't so much a president as he was a sleek, polished brand logo merch, and a fan base that didn't ask questions. It was never about real policies. It was all about the vibe, that perfect head tilt, the slow clap, and speeches that sounded deep but said nothing, like Shakespeare covered in sugar. While average Americans were struggling with lost jobs and culture shock, Obama was throwing celebrity dinners and patting himself on the back for being charming. The White House turned into a pop culture factory. From talk shows to hand-picked playlists, his presidency felt like a calm reality show with an NPR soundtrack. People didn't follow a leader, they followed a fantasy. He talked like a hero, acted like a ghost, and could preach unity while the country cracked like a dropped phone screen.
And if you all recall, just flashback to 2016 and the years after, The entire Trump 1 presidency was embroiled in this scandal that was perpetuated by the Democrat Party. And you had major Democrat Party officials in this city, namely Adam Schiff, Hillary Clinton, Elizabeth Warren, who went on television and told the American people Donald Trump is an asset of Russia.
And let's not forget Obama's cozy bromance with big tech. Under his watch, Silicon Valley ballooned into the giant it is today. Google and Facebook may as well have had office space in the West Wing. Data privacy. Yeah, right. His administration rolled out the red carpet for surveillance capitalism with a polished smile and a nod. The same government that couldn't build a basic health site somehow had no problem hoarding your data like it was gold. Karoline called out the double standard. For all the talk of saving democracy, Obama led some of the boldest constitutional overreaches in decades. Executive orders flew like candy at a parade. If Congress didn't move, he just did it anyway, legal or not. Meanwhile, his inner circle cashed in. Wall Street got fatter. And everyday Americans got lectures about sacrifice. He bailed out banks, let the housing crash ripple, and then scolded the public about being more responsible. It felt like getting robbed on, being told to say thank you because at least they didn't smash the door.
Obama during this Kamala Harris administration, it changed my opinion of that guy.
I don't understand how we got so toxic, so divided, and so bitter.
He said he wanted generals like Adolf Hitler had. Donald Trump said that.
Did you have a high opinion of him before?
Yeah, I did just as an intelligent person, a statesman. He's probably like caught up in the system. It's very difficult to make real meaningful change. You think you're going to do something and then you get into office and you're like, oh God, what a quagmire this place is. But watching him just straight up lie about Trump.
The childish nicknames, the crazy conspiracy theories, this weird obsession with crowd sizes.
The thing that got me was that very fine people thing, the white supremacist thing. They just kept trying to say that he was a racist.
When he's not complaining, he's trying to sell you stuff. Yeah, you're running for president and you're hawking merchandise. Gold sneakers, $100,000 watch. Why are you selling the watch? What are you doing?
Which is this thing that I think worked in like 2017. I don't think it works anymore. I don't think people believe it anymore. We've gotten numb to all this stuff.
Joe Rogan didn't need to stretch the truth. Obama was the type who could turn any crisis into a photo op. Flint's water disaster. He showed up, sipped from a sketchy glass, smiled for the cameras, and disappeared like a stage trick. The guy could have written a guide called How to Look Concerned without doing anything. Karoline called out the hypocrisy. This was the same man who promised to close Guantanamo but left it open 8 years later. His hope and change motto aged like milk in a heat wave. It was always about the show, never the results. While the media wrote love letters to his legacy, Americans were still asking what actually improved, other than his paycheck for speeches. And then there's the third-term whisper. Biden's presidency looks more like an Obama sequel than a new chapter. Rogan nailed it. Obama was the blueprint for the celebrity president. Not a real leader. Not a bold thinker. Just a polished brand for the elite, wrapped in magazine covers. He didn't drain the swamp. He gave it a makeover and taught it how to pose for selfies.
I'm sorry, did you take any comfort from knowing that Obama, when he was running for office and in his Hope and Change website, he had provisions to protect whistleblowers and provisions to to reward people, right? I mean, do you remember all that? I mean, it was eventually redacted, or he eventually deleted it from the website.
Yeah, but disappeared it from the website.
Yes, but that was a big part of his program, or what he was running on, was that when people were exposing unlawful activity, he was going to protect those people. Did you take any comfort in that?
Obama also campaigned. Well, Obama also, during his campaign, said he campaigned actively against the warrantless wiretapping, the Bush administration.
Joe Rogan didn't hold back. Obama's presidency wasn't a revolution, it was a polished illusion, a stage show for the global elite. And like any illusion, the moment the applause stops, the trick fades. Just when you thought the Obama show was over, came the encore. Netflix deals, book tours, and carefully scripted podcast cameos. The guy who claimed to fight for everyday people now charges more for a speech than most folks make in a year. His post-White House glow wasn't service. It was self-marketing in 4K. While inflation spiked and culture spiraled into chaos from the woke wave he helped spark, Obama was posting drone-shot views from Martha's Vineyard. The man who once warned about inequality now lounges on beachfront property that would make Gatsby jealous. Funny how rising sea levels never seemed to threaten his backyard.
Simply pretending to engage in a peaceful transfer of power In private, former President Obama went to great and nefarious lengths to try to sow discord among the public and sabotage his successor, President Trump. The new evidence released by the Director of National Intelligence, who is here with me today, confirms that the Obama administration manufactured politicized intelligence, which was later used.
Meanwhile, the country stayed broken in ways he never tried to fix. Racial tensions got worse. Political tribes went to war. Trust in everything just disappeared. But don't worry, Obama dropped a tweet, added a hashtag, and walked off like he'd saved the day. His crisis playbook never changed. Talk about it like a poet, then vanish before the mess starts. Joe Rogan didn't sugarcoat it. Obama made leadership look like a fashion statement. His legacy, a masterclass in doing less while looking like he did everything. Regular Americans got stuck with flat wages and fewer freedoms. Obama got cheers from elite circles and global media who cared more about his swagger than his results. And the wild part? Democrats still wave his name around like it's a lucky charm, hoping memories of his spotlight can cover up their current failures. He promised transformation and delivered a lesson in standing still. His real genius, selling nothing changed like it was